In this class, I want you to work along with me. I'm going to solve all three drawings here that you can see on the page. This time we're moving away from what we did last time. Last time we did hexagons and pentagons, and now we're just moving on to octagons. Two ways of constructing octagons. We're going to practice both methods. So we'll practice the first method here, then we'll practice the second method, and we'll actually do the question using the second method. After that, you're going to move on and do two more logos questions yourselves. So I'm going to start off here, 60mm baseline. So pick a position, start down low here in the free space, plot out your 60mm baseline from 0 to 60, and just number as I go. I can heavy that in, and then I'm ready to pitch up the sides and draw this octagon. An octagon is going to have an angle of 360 degrees divided by the number of sides, which is 8. And 360 divided by 8 is 45 degrees. I'm using my 45 degree set square here. I'm going to go 45 degrees up from 2 and up from 1. Because it's a regular polygon, all sides have to be the same length, so I could take the length of the base, which is 60, and I can mark it up both sides. So from 1, I'll be looking for point number 8, and from 2, I should get point number 3. I'm going to leave it all as construction at the moment. So from point 3 up, go a bit heavier so that comes up in the video, and this final point number 8 up. I didn't change the setting of my compass, it's still set. Just check it though, in case it doesn't move, just check it briefly. So that takes me 1, 2, 3, 4. There's going to be a 5, 6 and 7. There's 7, and there's 8 to finish. The opposite sides are parallel, so this is parallel here. This one is going to be parallel here. So it's 45 degrees again at the top. And it's 45 degrees from this side. And use the compass to strike in the two new points. And finally, but that's it. That's all that's there to draw in the basic octagon itself. I might just number my points again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. Next, we'll just take a look at what they've asked us to do here in terms of the logo, or what's filled in. And it's 8mm up from the corner, out, down and out. So I'll just mark that. I might just mark 1. There's one of them marked at 8mm. Instead of keeping the same thing going all the way around, and marking all the way around, I'm just going to set my compass. I think it's way faster and it's more repeatable and accurate. And it's 8 out from point 6 here, and it's down from point 4, and it's to the left here from point 2. I'm going to just put in some construction lines. So there's 2 going across there from number 8, and from this guy goes across the short distance. There's 2 going up here, one from the corner, number 2, and one from this point. There's 2 horizontally across here. And there's 2 coming down. Time to change over now to my H pencil and get the finished detail added in. I'm going to do all verticals first. Now that I have all the verticals done, I'm going to move on to horizontals. And now that the horizontals are done, it's whatever remaining 45-degree lines. And that's that logo finished. That's using our first method. That's the method we've used for all of these objects so far. To start off, we're starting off with our baseline, calculating our angle, pitching off our angle and using the compass. Now we're going to see a second method. So in this second method you start off by drawing two diagonals across a square. So an octagon fits perfectly into a square, and here's how we do it. Start off with your two diagonals. From each of your four corners, number 1, 2, 3 and 4, we need to set the compass until we get into this center point here. So we're going to set a radius from the corner into the center point, starting here at point number 1. Hit the center and scribe up and down. And repeat this for all four corners. Now the radius should be the very same for all four corners. And once you get those curves dropped in, you're going to end up with 8 points. 1 here, 2 on each edge, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. And of course you're looking at the points where the curve comes out and hits the edge of the square. And those 8 points define a perfect octagon, all sides equal. We can just evaluate whether it's correct or not by checking, is it a perfect 45 degrees? In this case here, it's looking quite good. Using that bit of theory right there, we're going to draw this octagon. Down here we're going to draw this logo. Now what you might notice is that the method that this was dimensioned wouldn't really allow us to do what we did over here. So on this first question it was dimensioned as a 60mm base. So you'd have to start off with a baseline and use your 45-degree angles. With this method here, it's given as a total width and total height, and them both being 120, it fits in a square. So you need to sometimes check out the question and see what they've given us and what they expect us to do and how they expect us to set up. So this time we'll be expected to set up a square, 120 wide, 120 tall, and inscribe the octagon into that. I'm just going to check what space I have here. I need to stay probably beside the questions as it's given there. And there's plenty of space for it to fit. From 0 to 120. Total height 120. Working along with the method I already had, keep my colour scheme here as well. A 45-degree should cross as a diagonal as well, and 45 the other way. Setting your compass from each of the four corners of the square into the centre. And finally we can go around with our H pencil and heavy in the outline of this octagon, catching the points where the curves hit the edges of the square. I'm going to number around the object again, and we'll start here from 1. And what I'm going to do now is start adding in the internal detail. And how complex this looks, if we just think about it, we're just dropping in 2 squares. So I'll start up here at point 6, and I'll join it down here to point 4, down to 2, and 8. So all the even numbers joined up, and then it could be all the odd from 1 to 3, 5 to 7. That'll get us started. I'll keep that light. So all your even numbers joined, all your odd numbers joined. So 1 to 3, 5, 7, and back to 1. Do the same then from 2, 4, 6, and 8. Now what we'll notice is if I just focus in on one line only, from 4 to 6, it's heavy as far as a certain point, then it's light as far as here, and it's heavy out again. So there's an overlap. It's heavy as far as this diagonal. So we're going to need a lot of diagonals dropped in here as well. But the line that goes from 4 to 6 here is heavy until it hits the diagonal that goes from 5 to 1. So if I just drop in one at a time here, 5 to 1, there's that diagonal. That means I can then go with my heavier pencil. Heavy as far as the diagonal, and heavy after the edge. We need to repeat that all around. If you want to use different colour for your diagonals, then please do. Edge 5 is heavy until it hits the diagonal 6, 2. So use your 5H pencil and switch out for your H. Heavy until the diagonal 6, 2. Heavy after the edge 6, 8. To get around as far as here, the diagonal is already dropped in, so 8 is heavy as far as the diagonal 1, 5. I'm going to skip this section and go heavy up to 2. All the diagonals should be in at this stage. I think that's it. So portions of the diagonals now need to be dropped in. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4 diagonals to go in here. So from every point it leads into the diagonal the size of the square, of the relevant square. One there. And that is finished. A lot of lines, a lot of detail and construction work gone into that one now. little bit hard to visualize maybe, so take your time with that. Add in some color or shade as well, so you can define the two separate objects. So if you just add the color just to one of those two squares, that would be perfect. Your next task is on the back of this page. I want you to pick any two of the polygon based logos and shapes down here. There's some really nice geometric shapes created. I want you to pick any two and recreate them. That's going to serve as homework. I don't know if there are any really easy ones, but I certainly don't want you picking two. If you kind of think there's two of the easier ones, pick one easier one, one hard one, or else pick two of the most challenging ones you can. You need to evaluate what you're seeing. You need to really kind of think about the geometry. Everything lines up, nothing is guessed. So the shapes within this guy here are not guessed. All within this, every single thing is a combination effort of joining relevant dots and maybe drawing diagonals, just like we did on the previous question. So best of luck. 2 more of these to complete in your own time, all to be submitted.